Hi students, this is going to be a quick video on how to get more professional looking photographs of your work, any of your two-dimensional work or any of your drawings at home using really simple or inexpensive equipment. I currently have one of my bigger drawings out at a professional photographer being photographed for a cost of $120, but that's because I'm going to reproduce it as a digital print on a large scale. But anyway, I've got a drawing that I just finished of one of my sons on the wall, and you can see that I've attached it to the wall with 4 dots of kneaded eraser just to make things easy. For lighting, and this is important, I'm using 2 different light sources, both aimed at the photograph on the wall or the drawing on the wall. So I've got my bedside desk lamp on this side and just a clip light on this side, and they're both trained on the drawing on the wall. What's important in terms of setting up is that the camera can't see the light bulbs on either of these light sources. That would throw off the exposure. And so now we're ready to photograph. And so the next step is just to zoom in on the drawing that you want to photograph, eliminating as much extraneous stuff as possible. Now, don't worry too much that there's extra stuff in the photograph. Don't worry too much if it's tilted. I can correct all of that in Photoshop when I receive your drawing. So what's important though is that the light is balanced and that you can see even the finest line work. Another thing to think about to bring your photography up to a much more professional level is to consider the problem of camera wiggling or camera shaking if we hold it in our hands, and especially the camera kind of lurching when we hit the photograph button. We can do a couple of different things to solve that. You'll see later that the camera setup that I have here involves putting my iPhone on a tripod with an iPhone adapter. And that takes all of the wobbling and shaking and moving around issues out of the picture, literally. The other thing that can really help, this is a really nice gadget to have, is this remote Bluetooth shutter release, which works with iPhones and also Androids. It's available on Amazon for a whopping price of $5.99. Or on eBay for as little as $3 in small change. And so you don't even have to touch the camera to take the photograph. And again, it gives you your photographs that much more clarity. So backing up a bit, this is the entire scale of this little everyday studio that I have for photographing drawings. I do have a more formal photography studio, but this is fine for most of the things that I do. I've got a clip light clamped to a chair, and this desk lamp is clipped to the edge of the table. I've got an inexpensive tripod with a $7 iPhone adapter on it. And your studio doesn't even have to be this complicated. If you really want to simplify things, you can simply take your drawings outdoors in indirect sunlight, preferably early in the morning before you have to deal with direct sunlight or really blue reflections from the sky, and in place of a tripod, I'm just using a broomstick. One thing that we haven't talked about too much here is color temperature. Different types of light sources, sunlight, fluorescent, etc., produce different temperatures of color measured in Kelvin. The solution to this sort of thing is equipment like this, variable color lighting, available pretty cheaply. And so now here's the final product, having been run through Photoshop, but photographed outdoors in indirect sunlight off of a broomstick.